At 72, I never thought my life would twist in such a surprising way. For so long, I was just an ordinary woman, bound to Richard for over 50 years, nestled in the quiet comfort of our home. But beneath the surface, a longing stirred, whispering of something more, something that felt both thrilling and wrong. But when Richard left this world, everything shifted. In the stillness of the empty house, I found myself adrift, surrounded by echoes of what could have been, with only the weight of unspoken feelings to fill the silence. The silence enveloped me, heavy and suffocating. With each passing year, the ache of Richard's absence grew, a bittersweet reminder of what could never be. Time seemed to freeze, each day a whisper of longing, merging into the next, with an ache that promised no resolution. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, so I can keep sharing these captivating tales that tug at the heartstrings. Make sure to watch this video until the very end and give it a like. The story unfolds in a way that will tug at your heartstrings. Your support means everything. A simple like can say so much. They said I would learn to live without him, that the ache of his absence would soften over time, and that I would discover solace in my loneliness. But it never came to be. Each day felt endless, a reminder of the ache that lingered in my heart. The echo of his voice lingered in my mind, the soft rhythm of his footsteps haunting the empty halls. Each morning I would wait for the familiar sound of him in the kitchen, brewing our coffee, but now silence filled the space where warmth once thrived. No matter how hard I tried to let go, I remained ensnared in this aching solitude, yearning for what was lost. One fateful day, my daughter Emily arrived, her eyes sparkling with a daring idea that took my breath away. She saw the loneliness that wrapped around me like a shroud and, with a spark of desperation in her eyes, urged me to bring a dog into my life. "It'll be there for you, Mom," she whispered, her voice trembling with unspoken feelings. "It might just fill the empty spaces in your heart." It was unexpected, this pull I felt towards Emily and her unwavering insistence. A dog? I never imagined it would lead me here. Caught in a whirlwind of emotions I dared not explore. And in the end, I surrendered to the pull of my heart. We ventured to the shelter where I found Max, a gentle mutt, lost and alone, waiting for someone to love him again. At first he was merely a companion, nothing more. But as time slipped by, Max transformed into my solace, my unexpected refuge, igniting feelings I dared not acknowledge. A whisper of hope amid my sorrow. Max was more than just a dog. He was my silent confidant, sensing the weight of my sadness with an understanding that felt almost intimate. His soft brown eyes held a depth that spoke to my soul, as if they could read the unspoken secrets of my heart. In my moments of sorrow, he would brush against me softly, a quiet promise of understanding that felt both comforting and reassuring. His presence brought a sense of warmth and peace, a reminder of the connection I had been craving. Each conversation with him felt like a secret, a stolen moment where I shared my day, my thoughts of Richard, and the ache of missing him. In those fleeting moments it seemed as if Max saw into my soul, grasping my essence in a way that no one else ever could. Yet what I shared with Max was unlike anything I had ever envisioned. Before we knew it, everything shifted between us. That night lingers in my mind, the moment everything changed, and I felt the pull of something I knew I shouldn't want. I sat on the couch, my mind tangled in thoughts of Richard, when Max quietly joined me, curling up close, a warmth that felt both comforting and reassuring. He laid his head on my lap, those deep dark eyes locked onto mine, filled with an intensity that left me breathless. His gaze was a silent promise, a deep well of understanding that wrapped around my sorrow, as if he could sense every hidden ache within me. "You're such a good boy, Max," I whispered, my fingers gently caressing his soft ears. A secret moment just for us. In that fleeting instant, time seemed to hold its breath. The sorrow that clung to me began to fade, and for a fleeting moment, I felt the ache in my heart soften. In that fleeting moment, an unspoken bond deepened between us, something powerful and healing. It was a spark that defied the ordinary, leaving my heart racing with a mix of wonder and longing. As I gazed down at Max, an undeniable spark flickered in his eyes, a depth that hinted at secrets untold, something that felt dangerously close to the edge of what should be. Felt so close to being real. And in that moment, I understood that Max was no longer just a pet. He had woven himself into the very fabric of my heart. He was my comfort, my companion, the one who made this lonely journey feel a little less heavy. As the months slipped by, Max's presence grew to mean everything to me. Every morning, I'd awaken to see him nestled at the edge of the bed, occupying the spot where Richard once lay. I never cared. I found myself yearning for it, a secret thrill that sent shivers down my spine. His warmth beside me filled the void, igniting a spark that felt both thrilling and wrong. Max trailed behind me, a constant presence that felt both comforting and dangerously close. Yet, it wasn't merely his physical presence that started to shift. It was the way he looked at her, a spark igniting in the shadows of their stolen moments. Max's gaze lingered on me, a heat that both thrilled and unnerved, igniting a spark of something unspoken between us. His eyes lingered on me, filled with a longing that felt both thrilling and dangerous, as if he were poised on the edge of something we both knew we shouldn't cross. Initially, I dismissed it as simply who he was. How could something so pure feel so distant? I wondered. They shield each other fiercely. Yet, as the days slipped by, I couldn't shake the feeling that something about Max was shifting, becoming more unpredictable, more intense. He had crossed a line, stepping into a world where our hearts whispered secrets meant to be kept hidden. His gaze lingered on me, filled with unspoken feelings that sent shivers down my spine. His gaze lingered, thick with an unspoken longing that sent shivers down my spine. I sensed a shift, a delicate line cross where I was no longer merely his keeper. There was an unspoken bond, a hidden depth in the way he reached for my heart. One fateful night, when silence enveloped the house and moonlight danced gently through the windows, everything changed. As I set my cup down, the warmth fading from my hands, Max slipped into the room, his presence a familiar comfort that stirred something deeper within me. But this time, instead of taking his usual spot at the foot of the bed, he chose to sit beside me on the mattress, and the air between us crackled with unspoken tension. His deep, dark gaze locked onto mine, igniting a flutter in my chest, a feeling long forgotten. "Max, what are we doing?" "Text," I asked, my voice barely above a whisper, hoping to break the tension with a fragile smile. Yet he remained still. He lingered in silence, his gaze was filled with silent understanding, a bond of companionship that I hadn't expected but deeply appreciated. A sense of unease filled me as Max's gaze met mine, brimming with loyalty and understanding. He lingered there, a silent plea in his eyes, as if my choice held the weight of the world between us. Every heartbeat echoed the weight of unspoken desires, as if fate had conspired to bring them together in this fleeting moment. My heart raced, a forbidden thrill coursing through me, yet I found myself unable to tear my gaze away. It was absurd, I whispered to my heart. He was more than just a dog. Yet, in that fleeting moment, a part of me questioned whether there was a deeper connection, something that transcended mere friendship. His warmth enveloped me, a soothing presence that stirred emotions I had long buried. It was more than just the warmth that pulled them together. It was the spark that ignited something deep within. Our connection grew stronger, and I found myself lost in the intensity of it all. In a moment of weakness, my hand found its way to him, trembling with unspoken longing. My fingers quivered as they brushed against his fur. And in that fleeting moment, everything changed. The warmth, the bond, the connection I had longed for since Richard's passing, now felt both exhilarating and perilous. In that fleeting instant, I discovered a longing I never knew existed. In that fleeting moment, a warmth spread through me, whispering that I was no longer adrift in solitude. After that night, Max's presence continued to bring me comfort, helping me heal in ways I hadn't anticipated, drawing me deeper into a world we both knew we shouldn't explore. He shadowed my every step, a silent presence that stirred something deep within me. Whenever I sank into the couch, he was always there, a silent presence that stirred something deep within me. His warmth enveloped me, our bodies brushing together in a way that ignited a spark I knew we shouldn't feel. It was unspoken, yet undeniable. Each moment we shared drew me closer, weaving a thread of dependence on him that felt both sweet and dangerous. He was the spark that ignited a fire within my soul, and with each moment I leaned on him, the bond between us deepened, pulling me into a world I knew I shouldn't crave. Yet, with each passing day, a sense of unease crept into my heart. There was an undeniable tension in the air, a whisper of something forbidden that made my heart race whenever I thought of Max. It had become something deeper, something they both knew they shouldn't feel. There was an undeniable pull, a connection that stirred something within me, and it was beginning to unsettle my heart. I fought against the yearning, convincing myself it was merely the ache of solitude whispering sweet lies. Yet, beneath the surface, I felt a shift that was impossible to ignore. In the stillness of the night, I stirred to find Max beside me, his face mere inches from mine, his breath a warm whisper against my skin. I should have felt a jolt of surprise, but instead, I was enveloped in a quiet thrill. Instead, an unexpected warmth blossomed within me. My fingers brushed against his fur, and he leaned in, drawing me closer into a world that felt both thrilling and wrong. In that fleeting moment, drowsy and exposed, I understood that my connection with Max had ventured into uncharted territory. What we shared had deepened into something I never expected, and the fear of it consumed me. I felt a thrill mixed with guilt, knowing deep down that what was unfolding between Max and me was something we shouldn't be pursuing. Yet I found myself unable to pull away. My loneliness had drawn me into this whirlwind, and now I found myself entwined in a connection that felt both exhilarating and perilous. In the depths of my heart, I realized I was searching for something in Max that I should have found in others. They are everything to me, yet I feel a pull towards something I can't fully embrace. Yet it was already too late. I was lost in a whirlwind of feelings I knew I shouldn't have. Max was my world, and the thought of losing him felt like a secret I couldn't bear to face. Yet as the days slipped into weeks, a heavy truth settled in my heart. I knew this couldn't last. I felt trapped in this fragile world, just me and my dog, longing for something more. I had to confront the reality of my heart. I had to release the bond one shared with Max, and seek solace in the embrace of those who truly cared for me. With a heavy heart, I started to retreat. I found myself drawn to Emily and the grandkids, cherishing moments with old friends, seeking solace in places that didn't remind me of Max. My heart still belonged to him, undeniably. He was my secret, my steadfast heart. Yet, I had to keep telling myself that he could never fill the void left by the connections I craved with others. It was a painful choice, but I knew I had to release what my heart desperately clung to. With every fleeting moment, my heart swelled with a strength I never knew I possessed. I discovered new paths to soothe the ache within, and I started to understand that while Max would forever hold a cherished place in my heart, he couldn't be my everything. Letting go of Max felt like tearing a piece of my heart away. Some things linger in the shadows, refusing to fade away. In those fleeting moments, the familiar ache of loneliness would wash over me, drawing me to Max, where solace lingered just out of reach. It was so easy to want him near, to let his warmth seep into the hollow ache within me. Yet deep down I felt the weight of my heart's secret. I had to remind myself that solace could be found in the warmth of those around me, not solely in the fleeting moments with Max. One afternoon, Emily caught a glimpse of the shift within me. "Mom, you've been visiting more often," she said softly, as I stepped into her cozy home for tea. Her voice wrapped around me like a warm embrace, and I could sense the joy in her eyes as I took a step closer, daring to bridge the distance between us. Yet, beneath her words lingered a trace of worry, and I understood then that my retreat from everything had not escaped her attention. I can't bear the thought of being alone," I confessed, my voice barely a whisper. It was difficult to confess the intense feelings I had for Max, feelings that felt both thrilling and wrong. How could I ever find the words to tell Emily? How could I confess that my sorrow and solitude had led me to lean so deeply on my dog for solace? She could never grasp the depth of it all. She had her own world, her own ties, and I couldn't bear to weigh her down with the tangled mess of my feelings. But Emily, with a knowing smile, whispered, "We're always here for you, Mom. You know that." Her words wrapped around me like a secret promise, stirring something deep within. Her words wrapped around me like a secret, igniting a spark of hope I thought I'd lost forever. Perhaps, just perhaps, I could mend the fragile threads that once bound me to my family and friends. Perhaps I wasn't meant to bear this sorrow in solitude after all. With each passing moment, I found myself daring to tread where my heart whispered, longing for the thrill of the unknown. I stepped into the library, a place that felt both familiar and distant. As I joined a book club, my heart racing with the thrill of new beginnings. In the beginning, it felt so wrong yet so right. I felt like an outsider, surrounded by laughter and stories of children and grandchildren, their lives a whirlwind of social gatherings that I could only watch from the shadows. My world seemed so limited, A hushed life echoing with the bittersweet memories of Richard and the chaos that had recently unfolded. Yet, as time passed, I found myself drawn to the presence of the women in the group, their laughter igniting something within me that felt both thrilling and wrong. In the hushed corners of our secret moments, we exchanged stories and laughter, weaving a bond that pulled me from the solitude of my quiet home into a world bursting with unspoken possibilities. Max, always lingering close, felt like a secret I could never fully embrace. He had stood by my side through it all, and though my heart still ached for him, I was beginning to understand the boundaries that kept us apart. He was my dog, my loyal companion, yet he could never be the partner I longed for. I had to keep telling myself that I couldn't lean on him to mend the aching emptiness Richard's departure had carved into my heart. Max's love wrapped around me like a secret, tender yet distant, a longing that felt both beautiful and wrong. It was a love I craved, but it wasn't the kind I could openly embrace. One day, as I sat with Max in the park, a spark ignited within me. The leaves danced to the ground, the air tinged with a chill, and I walked beside Max, my heart racing as he moved with carefree joy along the path. I watched as others strolled with their dogs, laughter mingling with whispers of connection, a bittersweet reminder of what could never be mine. In that fleeting moment, I realized how easy it was to lose myself in the warmth of shared glances, the unspoken bond between souls, and the tender thrill of being close to someone who felt just as alive as I did. As Max paused to sniff a fallen leaf, his tail wagging with innocent joy, I couldn't help but smile down at him, feeling a bittersweet tug at my heart. "You've always been so loyal, haven't you?" I whispered gently, my fingers brushing against the soft fur behind his ears. He gazed at me with those deep brown eyes, brimming with an intensity that stirred something forbidden within my heart. The connection between us was undeniable, and it filled me with a bittersweet gratitude. In that fleeting moment, I realized that Max, though significant, could never fill the void of my solitude. His love was intoxicating, yet it felt like a secret I couldn't fully embrace, leaving me yearning for the connections that felt just out of reach. As the days slipped away, I found myself drawn to the warmth of those who truly mattered, even as shadows lingered in the corners of my heart. As I shared fleeting moments with Emily and the grandkids, a warmth blossomed within me, drawing me closer to them than ever before. I confided in Emily about the heartache that followed Richard's passing, the deep loneliness that wrapped around me like a shadow for what felt like an eternity. She listened intently, her eyes reflecting a deep understanding, and when I finally stopped speaking, she pulled me into her embrace. "You don't have to face this by yourself, Mom," she whispered, her voice trembling with unspoken feelings. "We'll always be just a heartbeat away." In that fleeting moment, my heart whispered truths I had long buried. I never had to walk this path by myself. There were those who cared, who longed to ease my suffering, yet their warmth felt like a distant flame, flickering just out of reach. Max had woven himself into the fabric of that journey. He was my secret, the one who lingered in the shadows, always there when the world turned away. But now I realized that I craved something deeper than just Max's presence. I craved the warmth of my family, the comfort of friends, those who could mend my broken heart. Reflecting on it all, I see how effortlessly loneliness crept in, guiding me to find solace in the most unexpected corners of my heart. Yet I realized that it was the quiet, unspoken love of those around me that changed everything. Max would forever hold a piece of my heart, yet I knew I had to step into a world beyond my own, a world brimming with fleeting glances and unspoken desires. Now as I sit here with Max curled up at my feet, a warmth spreads through me, a secret joy that feels both right and wrong all at once. It's a fragile calm, one that whispers of longing and the thrill of what should not be. It's a bittersweet calm that washes over me as I confront my emotions, as I reach out to those who mean everything, and as I realize that while a dog's loyalty is unwavering, it's the secret love we share that mends our hearts.